Alright, so coming to this book again, I read a little bit of it, ranted a little bit, but when it comes to books that honestly, like, tell the future or a potentiality of what's to be, of what could be, because future telling is different from a potential future. Anyways, this book and The Birth Earth, a few others I can't think of at the moment because those top two are just always really stuck in my mind. So, Fascism: A Warning from Madeleine Albright. A seasoned U.S. diplomat is not someone you'd expect to write a book with the ominous title Fascism: A Warning, but that is what Madeleine Albright, who served as the first female Secretary of State from 1997 to 2001, has done, and it's not a reassuring read. In it, she sounds the alarm about the erosion of liberal democracy, both in the US and across the world, and the rise of what she describes as a fascist threat. So, I'm not a liberal myself, but I think colloquially, this isn't like liberal politics, but just like rights and like things we pretty much grandfathered in, not necessarily like what you interpret a liberal to be, but just the colloquial rights that were given. All right. And yes, she talks about President Donald Trump, which isn't to say that Albright believes Trump is a fascist. That's not a claim she makes in the book, but she clearly sees Trump as a manifestation of a deeper trend sweeping the globe. I spoke to Albright about that trend, why she fears the world is inching closer and closer to a genuine political crisis, and why, even though Trump exhibits so many of the characteristics of fascism she describes, she still isn't willing to label him a fascist, at least not yet. So, this article is 5 years ago, but I still think it, honestly, like, it's pretty legit and spot on. Alright. This would almost be like Jane Elliott from back in 2019 before Roe was stripped, talking about the birth dearth and what conservatives want to do. Okay. Sheen Illing, when you use the term fascism, what exactly do you mean? Madeline Albright. Well, first of all, I'm troubled by how thoughtlessly people throw around that term. At this point, anybody who disagrees with us is a fascist. In the book, I try to argue that fascism is not an ideology, it's a process for taking and holding power. A fascist is somebody who identifies with one group, usually an uh, aggrieved majority, in opposition to a smaller group. It's about majority rule without any minority rights, which is why fascists tend to single out the smaller groups as being responsible for or the cause of their grievances. The important thing is that fascists aren't actually trying to solve problems. They're invested in exacerbating problems and deepening the divisions that result from them. I mean, the Democrats and the Republicans have basically been using all our issues as wedge issues, like gun violence and mass shootings, dead children everywhere from that, and they haven't really settled it. It's honestly like the status quo is already like calling children. You could almost consider that like negligence closer to fascism. Alright. They reject the free press and denounce the institutions and structures within a society, like Congress or the judiciary. I'd also add that violence is a crucial element of fascism. Whatever else it is, fascism involves the endorsement and use of violence to achieve political goals and stay in power. It, it's a bully with an army, really. Sheen Illing. How do you distinguish between populism and reactionary conservatism on one hand and actual fascism on the other? The lines, as far as I can tell, are awfully thin. Well, I don't take populism as a bad thing. I really make a point of that because actually you need people for a democracy. You need popular support to get things done. I think what differentiates fascism from other ideological movements is the use of violence and anger to achieve political ends. The coup, you know, when you almost see it, what you almost always see in fascism regimes is propaganda being used to set people against each other without any potential solutions to any of the problems. And so, even before Trump was in office, this has been what has been happening. So, I guess she's not willing to say that, though. Fascism is always, in the end, about stirring people up and giving them someone to hate, which I guess the Trump administration has been doing and ramping up lately, but there's always the scapegoat within society that we've pointed to, like the breeding machines or the welfare queen myth. So, Sheen Illing, you say that fascism is ascending right now. Why do you think that is? Madeline Albright, a lot of reasons. Most of us were looking toward a system that had been established after World War II, democratic governments, a globalized economy that would gradually bring the world together. And though it was remarkably stable, and thought it was remarkably stable, but the institution has gotten more complicated. A lot of people have benefited from globalization, but it has huge downsides. It's faceless, and people want to know their identity. Want to be connected to some religious or ethnic or national groups. Identity is fine, but if my identity makes me hate your identity, then it becomes very dangerous and it falls into hyper-nationalism. Suddenly, groups are pitted against each other or scapegoated, and all of the political life becomes tribalized conflict. And we can see this happening in a number of places. Viktor Orban's embrace of ethnic purity in Hungary is a good example of this. And his recent LGBT uh, issue a couple of years ago, I believe there was like a whole bunch of people just comparing it to like Nazi Germany. People seem to do that. All right. The other major factor is technology, which has incredible advantages, but it's also desegregated voices and made it harder to take political action because individuals are sucked into echo chambers. Weirdly enough, this has managed to make us more tribal and more fragmented at the same time. So there are just a lot of forces coming together and creating an atmosphere of anger, and people have no idea what the solutions are or if there are any solutions. Then some strongman comes along and says, quote, I have the answers, I can fix everything, and this is when you get fascism. So, I wanted to read some of this book right now, actually, just to get to my broader point of this video. Hold on. So, not long ago, when I told a friend, so I'm reading the book now. Not long ago, when I told a friend I was working on a new book, he asked, what is it about? Fascism, I said. He looked puzzled. Fashion? He queried. My friend was less mistaken than it might have seemed, because fascism has indeed become fashionable, insinuating its way into social and political conversation, like a renegade vine. Disagree with somebody? Call them a fascist and thereby relieve yourself of the need to support your argument with facts. In 2016, fascism was searched on the Merriam-Webster Dictionary website more than any other word in English except for surreal, which experienced a sudden spike after the November presidential election. To use the term fascist is to reveal oneself. For those on the far left, virtually any corporate bigwig fits the bill. To some on the not so far right, Barack Obama is a fascist. In addition to being a socialist and a closet Muslim, to rebellious teen, a fascist may apply to some parentally imposed cell phone restriction. As people vent their daily frustrations, the word escapes a million mouths. Teachers are called fascists, and so too are feminists, chauvinists, yoga instructors, police, dieters, bureaucrats, bloggers, bicyclists, copy editors, people who have just quit smoking, and anyone who is actually trying to lose weight. I've heard that. And the makers of childproof packaging. If we continue to indulge this reflex, we may soon feel entitled to label a fascist anyone or anything we find annoying, draining potency from what should be a powerful term. And so, there is also unions being called fascist by a fake leftist who is funneling votes for the Democrats. And this is actually very sad for me personally as an ex-Vaushite.
This is a level of class treason that exceeds the most copy behavior imaginable. It's insane.
Alright, here goes.
You'll never guess who made an appearance at the RNC. Hello to
I'm
you.
Sean O'Brien, General President of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters.
This is the guy was like nearly got Sean Fain. That's it. Because they're both called Sean. No wonder I got him mixed up. And they both have aggressively Irish names, Sean Fain and Sean O'Brien.
So this guy, this dude working for Teamsters, he is coming to Republicans who are likely disenfranchised, deluded, voting for a Trump to secretly screw them over. And this union guy, he's speaking to these Republicans to try and do class solidarity, essentially. And, you know, the elites don't really want that. They want everything to be divided. You know, they want the immigrants, the natives, the blacks, the white. It's all essentially a neoliberal framework within our rights that were given, but still divided. And so, DIE, diversity, equity, inclusion, sorry, there's an element of neoliberal frustration or neoliberal manipulation in there, because it likely enjoys the frustration it causes from conservatives. Anyways.
Crazy. Ireland
and so,
their best. Anyway, this is
Vaush is literally criticizing a unionist trying to bring class solidarity to conservatives who either care or don't care, and you'll hear some boos and such in the audience, but this dude is staying headstrong, speaking to a bunch of people with mixed feelings about him because they're disenfranchised by the two-party system.
The guy who was rearing for a fight in the Senate committee hearing that he was participating at. Sean Fain is low-key an actual Marxist. Yeah. Head of the UAW is actually, like, you know, keeping Kalashnikovs stocked up in his wall. Anna Kasparian having a meltdown over Sean O'Brien's speech, had a fight with Destiny. Destiny sure has been active on Twitter lately, huh? Sean O'Brien's RNC speech wasn't just historic because it was something you never hear at the RNC. I didn't expect anyone in the party to take corporate greed to task. Oh, no. Has anyone told Anna Kasparian that Donald Trump also criticized corporate greed leading up to 2016, and that when Republicans hear, like, challenging...
This is such a distraction right now. Like, this should just be a good thing that this dude is coming before Republicans and not just speaking for one side to have all the corporate rights and financial rights. This is fucked up if you're trying to just make this a segregated act of unionizing. You're supposed to sort of come together with people you don't like within your working force. So, you know, there's people at my job I really hate, but, you know, you got to be there and work. You got to continue the struggle. You got to open doors for people. You can't just open doors for women. You can't be a fucking weirdo.
Corporate greed, what they actually hear is, like, either anything ranging from the Jews to, like, the liberal coastal elites, and it's not actually a salient critique of capital. So where's Destiny beefing with this?
I'd like to give my peeps from the greatest state in the nation, Massachusetts, some props. What's up? First, I want to thank the hard-working Teamsters and union members.
None of them are on it because Trump isn't going to do all to any of these giant corporations on them.
Oh my God, shut up, Vaush.
Unironically, like, actual example of Destiny outflanking Anna Kasparian to the left. I'm not going to waste any time trying to ascribe intentions to a person who, as far as I can tell, bases all of his political...
So clearly, obviously, Vaush doesn't care about this. He just wants to mock it, but mostly just be, like, purposefully distracted by other things. Now, when I watched Vaush when I was a Vaushite a few years ago, it was like just... He was obviously distracted by stuff because I just thought it was ADHD, but I really don't think he actually cares. I don't think this is ADHD at the moment. He's just, you know...
like, leaning this case, credit where credit is due. How do you, as Ana Kasparian, how are you a seasoned political commentator for this long, and you're still falling for you're like Charlie Brown trying to kick the football, and she keeps
Oh
pulling it
my
away
god,
at the
this is
last
so
second.
lame.
Surely this right-wing critique of corporate power won't actually be.
Oh my god, so I know I can't talk. Nobody's watching me for that long, but as boring as I am, I'm not going to try and make jokes, That would be more cringe, honestly. I don't know why Vaush has to fucking be this distracted by this nonsense.
Flaccid and impotent and not actually lead to any positive change. This guy was also accused of hiding racial discrimination in the union. Everard Claire? Hello? Everard? I say this earnestly because your behavior has been manic on here lately. Oh.
Infighting about this situation instead of just watching the video. Yes,
speech.
Okay.
Does Ana Kasparian have a problem with Destiny claiming that he doesn't care about stochastic terrorism against the right? Why do unions get so tricked by the rule? Well, we haven't even seen the speech yet.
Okay. Stochastic terrorism happens on the right, yes, but generalizing this as all righties are doing that and saying this is a reason why they don't deserve unions, that's just, this, oh my god. I don't know, man, this seems actually evil. He's just profiling everybody that's a conservative at this point. And when I was a Vaushite, I was on that train too because I thought he was speaking within context about a certain malicious attitude within a certain group, not just generalizing all of them. Now, there was, I don't know, there's something I should have noticed about Vaush when I was honestly watching him. Maybe my husband pointed it out to me. I don't know.
She doesn't miss. Ana having the nerve to say someone else is spiraling. True! Ana looking straightforwardly directly into the mirror. I think you're having an emotional breakdown. I think that your posts lately have been indicative of mental decline. I think you need to chill out for a second. Alright, what if we listen to the speech? What if we found out what the actual speech was a little bit?
Thank you.
In Milwaukee, who play vital roles in the building and operations of this convention. I also want to thank President Donald Trump for opening the RNC's doors to the Teamsters Union and inviting me to speak before you tonight.
Oh, I should be clear, by the way, right off the bat, I think this is...
Okay, so he obviously just wants to be civil and have a civility politics to come in here to talk to conservatives to eventually get the broader context of things if this actually works out for them. And now, it just looks bad to the militant leftist who, just by hearing the name Trump or any association, is just going to look bad for this guy.
The bitch move. This is not an opportunity to platform yourself at the RNC. The RNC will never be...
So he's not necessarily platforming himself. If this works out for the conservatives at this rally, it's platforming all of them. They're in this together. This isn't just like a... So, yes, he's platforming himself on a podium. This is just... this is so stupid semantical bullshit. The point of all of this is not for his platforming. It's everybody at the union.
Pro-worker. Ever. They will never be pro-worker. Ever in a million. It'll never happen. Ever. So all you're doing by showing up here is providing false...
Yes, there's people that might not care about this, but at the end of the day, he's going to keep trying, and those people who are disenfranchised might actually come out of the muck and join the union,
Endorsement. You're just doing free promo. Yeah. Yeah, you're asking the cat to be pro-mouse.
I travel all across this country and meet with my members every week. You know what I see? An American worker being taken for granted. Workers being sold out to big banks, big tech, corporates, and the elite. And I'm not the only one who sees this. Everyday families see it. The American people aren't stupid. They know working people have no chance of winning this fight. That's why I'm here today. Because I refuse to keep doing the same things my predecessors did.
Nice.
Today, the Teamsters are here to say we are not beholden to anyone or any party.
Okay.
We will create an agenda and work with a bipartisan coalition ready to accomplish something real for the American worker.
Yeah, sorry, this is fascist collaborationism. I don't give a shit. This is
Wow.
this keys into the exact same thing that the Nazis did before Hitler took power, where they pretended to be pro-union and worker rehabilitation. Like, they pretended to have a bunch of pro-worker parties, this fake bipartisanship. This everybody knows the Republicans are never going to be pro-worker. They can't be pro-worker. It's ideologically anathema to them. All this does is feed in further to the, challenging the deep state. We're the real representatives of the white working class. We're bringing jobs back to the Rust Belt. You know, this is the socialism part of National Socialism. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, pretty much.
Vaush just shows that, but doesn't even explain anything. Like, he just generalizes based on some historical moment. But this is the issue we're facing right now, guys. Unions are being trashed right now by a fake leftist like Destiny himself. Fake, he just wants blood. Vaush is just funneling people for the Democrats to keep the status quo intact. And everybody is going to have a shittier wage. Nobody's going to have any rights because this dude is so his audience is young, and so they're pretty clueless and might not know what's going on. So this is actually insane. So let's go.
And I don't care about getting criticized.
Wow.
It's an honor to be the first Teamster in our 121-year history to address the Republican National Convention.
Why? Literally, why is that? Why is that an honor? That'd be it is my honor to be the very first black civil rights leader to address the White Citizens Council members. At the first black man at the Klan rally. Why? That's not indicative of any kind of coalition building on your part. It's just selling out.
Alright, so we get the picture. Vaush is essentially the fascist problem. So, in 2016, Vaush wasn't streaming yet, but the SJW, anti-SJW moment happened, and which led to 2019, and Vaush was there. And so, there was all this rhetoric, and I think it pumped this rhetoric into the form of Vaush since 2016 to 2019 to 2020. And so Vaush is just like this giant psyop, almost. Like, he lied about being a leftist, essentially. And even though I was on board because who he was calling a fascist at the time, it made sense. But I wasn't really thinking about it so broadly at this point. Vaush is pushing this rhetoric to destroy the working class. Alright. I'll see you in the next one.